What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerdy Volume Podcast.
Hello. How are you?
Today episode, we're going to talk about the
Musicians.
gigging life.
Yeah, the gigging life. Yeah.
The gigging life. Well, him gigging, I have never actually gigged, but I have played music live.
Yeah.
Because I play for my church.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're going to talk about our experiences, the things we've enjoyed, some cool or interesting things that have happened to us.
Mm-hmm. And probably touch on things that we've noticed that is universal for musicians who play live.
Yeah. So with that in mind, take us off. How long have you been playing music live for?
Oh, wow. I've been playing live music for a very long time. I would say since 2007.
Is that when you guys started?
Mm-hmm. That's when I started with the group Haleamano in 2007, and we played at a high school.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. We played at a high
prom?
school. No,
Okay.
it was for the Polynesian club.
Oh, cool.
And they were throwing some kind of benefit. I forgot what the
event was.
The event was for, but yeah, we played it, and that was our first gig. And I didn't even have my own ukulele at the time. I mean, I had my ukulele, but it couldn't plug in. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so that was my first experience with the band live. But I have played, or I've sung live beforehand.
Right.
Like I've been on theater. I did theater when I was 7.
Mm-hmm.
I did my first talent show when I was
I've never done that.
9 or 10. That was in 4th grade, and I sang a theme song from the Torkelsons, and that was my first.
The Torkelsons?
The Torkelsons. It was on Disney Channel.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I love that song. My mom loved that song. She wanted me to sing it, and I'm just like, I like the song, and I got it. And they're like, we're not giving any awards away for this talent show, so we're gonna have you open it. And I was just like, is that good? You know what I mean? At the time.
You're the theme song to the talent show.
Right. I guess. And I didn't realize until later I started playing music professionally, and they were like, oh yeah, the openers is the new blood, people that don't really play much or don't have that much fans. And I was just like, well, of course, this is a talent show. I was just like, okay, hold up. What was my mom saying when I was a kid? It's a good thing. They think you're so good that you can start it. I was like, I don't know about all that. But I had this super pretty neighbor at the time for my talent show.
Yeah.
And she liked it. I was just like, yeah. But
Yeah,
she doesn't hang out at the house, so I don't ever see her. I talk more to her younger sister than to her, but I was into the older sister. I'm into who I'm into, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
You know what you like.
Yep.
That's funny.
But anyway, so live music. It's pretty hard if you're not used to it or doing it all the time. You don't want to mess up. You know what I mean? You don't want to go flat if you're singing. You don't want to hit the wrong chord if you're playing an instrument. And you don't want to say anything wrong if you have to host or hype the crowd up.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
Thank goodness I don't think I've ever had to do that. So, yeah, I mean, we both play music.
Mm-hmm.
We both, like I said, he's part of his band.
Mm-hmm.
And I play for my church. But I will tell you right now that the level, and he's going to disagree with me because he's a kind-hearted person. But I'm going to tell you the truth. The level of talent between him and I is like, if I'm at the bottom, I'm at the bottom of the Empire State Building, and he's at the top of it. That's the difference in level. And I'm not saying that to be like modest or anything. That is, I mean, whenever this guy sings, I'm always just like sitting there going, "Dang, that's what talent looks like."
Well, don't you play every Sunday, right?
I play every Sunday.
And you practice every week?
I practice every week.
He touches his guitar maybe 3 to 4 times a week. For how long?
Oh, no. I used to practice like throughout the week. I used to practice a lot more than I do now. Now I probably touch it on Saturday when we go to practice, and then Sunday when we actually perform it.
So you perform at least 2 times a week, or play at least 2 times a week. Yeah. Yeah, you always say you were about the same.
But vocally wise, vocal wise, this guy can. I mean, look. I can sing melody for the most part, but you asked me to say if Iz was like leading something. He's like, Leo, hit me with the harmonies. I'm like, only if you want to go deaf. Harmonies for I'm in awe of anybody who can pull harmonies from thin air. I mean, obviously it's not from thin air, and sometimes I can get harmonies, but the majority of the times harmonies do not come to me. I am not. I unfortunately, it's just never been a talent of mine. My sister can sing anything and everything. She's one of those people who
She
is just
stole it from you. The talent.
I'm saying.
Stolen.
I always
The
I
vocal
was
talent.
like, I'm the firstborn.
Right.
Right. And once again, not to put myself down, that's not what I'm doing. It's just something that I've always grown up with. I'm the firstborn, but I feel like my brother, who's the secondborn, got the looks, and then my sister got the talents. And I'm just like, I guess I'm the smarter one of the three. Which is probably true. I love you guys, but you got to admit, I probably am the smarter of the three of us. But so I got the brains at least in that sense. But no, seriously,
And it's still translated in musically because you play guitar.
Yeah.
So
and you know what the funny thing? People who like people was like, oh wow, Leo, you're so talented. I always tell people, it's like, I don't see myself as a talented person. I'm a person who's worked really hard to be as good as I am, and I'm not that great. I'm good, but I'm not like, wow, you're dang, you can do anything.
Right.
But to be at the level I'm at, I've worked really hard to get there. And I look at my sister and I look at you, and I'll say, you guys are talented, but also have worked hard for your talent. I have very little talent, but I've also worked really hard to get where I'm at. So when people say, wow, you're really talented, it's like, I appreciate that, but no, I've put blood, sweat, and tears into me getting to the point I am. I feel like for people who have talent, I think people kind of confuse talent for like just being able to do it.
Right.
I'm like, no, I think if you have talent, you are a person who it comes easier to. It's not that you don't have to work hard, but it comes a little bit more easier for a person who has talent than a person who doesn't. Because my sister can sing. My sister can play any instrument. She played. I don't know if I've said this before on the show, but when she was in high school, she wanted to play violin. Never played violin in her entire life, and so she got a violin. Went to high school. I think it was maybe her sophomore year, and she was telling me that a classmate of hers. It's like, oh wow, you play violin really well. How long have you been playing? And my sister goes and says, oh, just a couple months. And the person's face just kind of went into like, what the? She's like, I've been playing violin since I was like 5, and we're at the same level right now. My sister is a talented person. She can grab anything, and it just comes to her a lot easier than it does anybody else. Her issue is that it also bores her to death. Because it comes easier to her.
Dude, she's like an anime genius.
Yes.
Dude. Tensei.
I'm not even kidding you. She would get bored of anything she touched. Like, she's played piano, she's played guitar, she's played violin. I think that's
Tensei.
Maybe that's it. No, my brother played the trumpet. Right, but she just got bored of them because they were. I don't. I wouldn't say. Maybe because they were too easy for her or what. But she just kind of just like, whatever. But singing has always been something that she's always been really great at. And every time she sings, I'm just like, yeah, that's cool, man.
So you perform a lot with your family? Like specifically your brother and your sister?
My brother doesn't sing, and he doesn't play anything.
He doesn't perform? Oh, okay.
No, he hates being in front in any capacity more than I do. It's funny because I say that I play music and I play for my church, right? But I am absolutely terrified when it comes to performing in any capacity. It scares me to death. And my brother, he just hates it, and he doesn't have the greatest voice. But it's only because he hasn't worked on his voice.
Oh, right.
I had a choir teacher who would always tell us, everyone can sing, but not everyone can sing well. And and I feel like my brother might be one of those people, but I think it's all partially because he never really practiced.
Work on it?
Yeah, because my mom has a great voice. My dad, I don't think I've ever really heard my father sing.
He sings probably amazing.
I don't know.
Silk comes
Probably.
out of his voice. You know
Maybe.
What I'm saying? Yeah, no, like my parents, they performed live before. My dad, he performed a lot in Kona, where I'm from, and my mom used to actually sing for churches. She used to do church circuits on
Oh,
Oahu.
nice.
Her and her sisters, the Kamaka sisters, they would call it.
Nice.
And they would sing in all these church events.
Yeah.
And from what I hear, my grandma was really hard on them. Like, you got to get on the key. You know, basically, my grandma looked like a baseball coach. Like,
No.
listen.
You're flat. Get up there. Yeah. Oh man. I'm a. Because it's funny you talk about like being off key. I'm always I'm not always off key, but you know, the people at my church really love me because they never really complain about my singing, and I know my singing wasn't that great, but one thing I've done a million times, and it became like a kind of like a routine, like a skit at my church. I would always mess up, and I would stop the song. Luckily, I would always mess up at the beginning, and so like I'll start playing and sing, and I'm like, "Oh, my bad, I messed up. Let's start from the beginning again." And everybody in the congregation would just start busting up. They think it's just funny, and I just like, "Hey, you know, as long as you're not hating me because of it."
Does that happen often?
It would happen more often than not.
Oh wow,
Dude,
that's funny.
that's what I'm telling you. It became like a normal routine. It's like, oh, Leo messed up. Let's start from the beginning, and like only one song, like because we would have like a set. Our set was like 4 songs or something. So yeah, I mess up a song, and then everybody just laugh, and we have a good time, and I guess that's the difference between maybe like playing at a church, like a small church, not even a big church, and then playing live in front of how many people?
A lot. I've played a lot. I don't know how many. On an average, is that what you're asking?
Yeah. I guess you can't really mess up. At least where you play, you can't really mess up.
That's I cannot. No,
because it's a professional setting.
I have messed up tons of times. I've gone flat. I've sang on the wrong key, like on purpose. No, I'm just kidding. On accident. I've sang like, I'm sorry, I didn't sing in the wrong key. I went to the wrong key. I have started on the wrong key. I have messed up on the chords. I've played the wrong chords a lot of times. But here, I'm gonna tell you something for those who aspire to be a live musician. If you can start and end perfectly, everything in the middle, everyone forgives.
That's true. Very true.
Everyone forgives because you got to keep going. You never stop. The moment you stop, that's the moment you make a mistake. That's when you realize you make a mistake.
Right. And I agree with that. I mean, I just told you that I would literally stop and say, "Oh, let's start from the beginning again."
Though.
But if I would mess up in the middle of a song, you just keep going because
exactly, right.
the people listening to you don't know. They don't know what's happening.
Right.
As long as it's not something like really dramatic and mistake wise,
or everyone in the congregation learned that song together,
or that
they're like,
right. Most of the time they won't, you know. And if you're really good, if you're really talented, and you mess up, like even if you're like, oh, I went a little flat here, you can like then like move it into like some kind of weird riff and go back in. And it's like, ooh, this is the live version, people.
This is live. We're live today.
This is not the recording.
Yeah, and that's just, you know, and I think that's one of the lovely things about being a musician, and you know, things when you're live, you can always, there's always a time frame where you can, you know, change things up when you're in a band. Now, I've been recently doing solo stuff, and when you mess up, only you can really know, because unless they know the song, then you know, you never know.
Right.
And so, like, I started doing songs that most likely the crowd doesn't know, but they just like the music. But I'm really there just to be ambient. You know what I'm saying? And so when I would mess up, I'm like, oops, but I would keep going. And what sucks is when I mess up and I mess up the words at the same time. And then I'm like, ooh, I'm just have to roll with it. You know what I mean? And then sometimes I go quiet and they don't know. And then I go like, I get away with a little or oohs or ahs. You know what I mean? Like, as a solo artist, I'm normally with my band. So as you know, playing solo, you learn more things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you can only depend on yourself in that moment.
Exactly. I have a question actually.
Yes.
So this is not off topic, but how do you signal to your drummer that the song is coming to an end?
I give him a look. So the drummer, when I was leading so it's called a praise team, right? I don't know, for those who don't know, our band is called a praise team, right? So when I was leading praise team, our drummer the majority of the time was my wife. She was our drummer. So I would just give her a look. So we're coming to the end of the song, and I give her like a look, I give her like a little head nod, and that kind of like signified that we're coming to an end. I also have a really great friend of mine who is an actual drummer. He plays for a band himself, Paradigm. If you guys never heard of Paradigm, you should go look it up. It's pretty good band as well. They kind of play like I want to say like an alternate rock, like Benjamin. What's that band's name? Benjamin something, something Benjamin. I forgot what the band name. Kind of like that. Like garage rock kind of feel to it.
Benjamin is giving me movie title vibes.
Benjamin
All about
Button.
Benjamins, but Benjamin Button. Both of those movies came. Not the band, but
There's
are
a
they
band.
local?
There's
They're
a
local.
Benjamin
band?
No, I have no idea where they're from. But if you ever hear that, if you know what band I'm talking about, my friend's band kind of has that kind of same feel. At least their earlier stuff had that kind of feel to it. But yeah, he's a really great drummer, and he played with us for like a couple years as well. And then T was moved to the keyboards, and my wife is a great drummer. She'll tell you no, but she is. But I mean, this guy has been playing drums since he was, I don't know, in his teens. So he's now in his 40s. I mean,
Since the womb.
This guy's a amazing drummer, and it's the same thing. Like, I'm sure you can say that you can vouch for this. Like, once you have your group kind of like solidifies itself, you communicate just by looks. Like, yes, I can look at them and not really say anything with my face, but I can give them a look and it's pretty much saying, we're going back into the chorus. We're going into this. We're about to end. You know, and we could just feel each other's move, and it kind of just ends like that. Like how what we're playing will signify, or how we play the certain part. It's like, okay, we're coming to an end, or okay, we're about to repeat. You know, so that's how I would communicate with T when she would play drums, or on the keyboard, or with my
Just a
friend.
Look, right?
Just like a look.
But what if they're not looking at you?
Or the way we're playing.
Oh.
So if I'm usually, my telltale sign is if we're gonna go back into the chorus, I kind of amp up the end of that chorus. So I'll like ba 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 ba. It's like, okay, we're going back into it, and he'll like do a roll, and then boom, we're back into the chorus again, and we'll just repeat it a few more times. And then if we come to an end, like I won't do the amping, like I won't like kind of drive through it, and then and then he'll like look at me and say, yeah, we're about to end this.
Okay. For my band, we say something like oh, or ho, like kind of like a little slightly off the mic, like ho, and then the drummer will hear it, and then you hear the roll coming out, and then we all end it. But if there's like an intricate ending, you know, that's where we're just like sometimes we're just like, we turn around and we give them like a nod, right? And like, this is where we're gonna start it off. And then, you know, you go da 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 da. You know, it's like we do all that kind of stuff. And so when we try to talk to our drummer, we can't really look directly at her unless we're at 180 degrees turn around.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
Or maybe 360. I don't know. But once we turn around halfway, we're just like, this is where it is. You know what I mean? We kind of like gotta continuously play and then go back and then get back on the mic. You know what I mean? I'm assuming that you guys are probably like in a smaller section of the church when you play.
No, we take the entire pulpit. Like, so the pulpit is the stage, but it's called a pulpit, and we take the whole thing because the drummer is on one side of the pulpit, and then the piano players are on the other side. So everybody else just takes the center of it.
Oh, so you guys are in front. Okay.
Yeah, we're in front of everybody.
So, well, as long as you have eyesight or a line of sight with your drummer.
Oh yeah. The drummer's always like down the side. He's never behind us because there's steps that go to like actually I don't know where the steps go. They don't really go to anything. There's just a wall there. I think. Oh, you know what? It's for the choir. It's for the choir. Okay. There's steps for the choir, so that when risers. Yeah. Okay. I was like, they're not steps. It's definitely for the choir.
See, I don't even know what they're called too. That's why I called them risers for my class.
I think that's what they're called. Yeah.
But Yeah, okay. Because sometimes it's really hard for people to know when the endings are, and I know that some people don't know when certain bridge parts are. So that you know how in a song there'll be a verse, and then in the verse there's like a pre-chorus or
Yeah.
like some kind of like bridge.
Yeah.
A lot of people, if they've never heard the song before or has studied the pattern, they won't change it. So some people give the look for that. You know what I mean? And there's always those. Those are always a cool thing to have between band members and people you play music with. Now, if I were to ever play music with you and you gave me a look, I knew that the song is going to end before you even said that on there.
Yeah.
Because I just figured it's like, oh, this is it, huh?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so I would get ready to end the song. And I think that's another beautiful thing about being a musician and playing live is that talking on stage is universal. You don't even have to speak the same language to understand that the song is going to be done. Like some people just point down, be like on the downstrum, on the downbeat, that's it. Or I know that sometimes a buddy of mine, Bubba B, when he ends a song, he does this like a composer, and he's like, "This is the one. We're gonna end it here," and that's cool because it looks cool on stage. You have the mic in one hand and you just like boom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you just all you hear is just a bah, drop and everything just goes down. And then and then you hear the crashes and the warm keys, you know what I mean? It just sounds nice.
Yeah.
So, that the language of live music is a beautiful thing.
Well, and I mean, I don't know how it is for you guys when you guys play because we have our songs are usually set. Like we won't deviate. We'll practice beforehand, and they're pretty much set. Like verse, chorus, or verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, bridge, chorus, and then that's pretty much how the song is gonna go.
No rap.
Only if the congregation is really feeling the song, then we'll like add another chorus or two or whatever. But usually, what we practice the day before is how the song is gonna go the next day.
Right.
I don't know if that's the same with you guys, or do you guys just kind of like, oh, we're just gonna feel it out? We know it's verse, chorus, bridge, right. But then from there we're just, if everybody's still just going at it, we're just gonna keep going.
That's a good question. Actually, it is very much like that. It is when how would I explain this? So when we are performing in a concert, we always have, like you said, like a set way of performing. But sometimes people want to be featured out of nowhere. They'll be like, "Hey, can I hop on your set at this concert?" And it'll be like maybe one of the headliners, or maybe one of our friends that we know would headline this spot, right? And we're like, "Yeah, okay." So what we would end up doing is either adding a new song or prolonging the song that we're playing at the when we want him up, and just giving him like a long area. Now, then we do a live audible. And that means that when it's normally a rapper too that hops on. So a rapper would come in and he comes in all slow with the, very melodic. I'ma talk to you like this and like that and make it really nice. And then all of a sudden, then he's gonna come in with like a ton of just like lyrical juice, all right? And that's where we would add like a mix where it's just like it's like staccatos. It's like a dunk, 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 dunk. You know what I mean? And just a bunch of those. And then so we would hype it up. In reggae, it's called a mix. And then that's where we just hype up the rapper. And sometimes if the rapper feels it, like he gets into the music, he gets really nuts with it and starts like shaking. He sometimes has dreads, sometimes doesn't. He probably takes off his shirt, you know what I mean? Or if he's one of those well-dressed ragamuffin singers, he's just like kind of like unbuttoning a little bit of his shirt, and it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? And it's really hype. And then we bring it back down to where it's going to transition back to the song that we intended to end it with. And it normally would just add like another verse, or it's just basically adding another verse and a pre-chorus or something like that. You know what I mean? And that's how we would do it live.
Yeah.
And we've done it so often. Actually, it happens more often at concerts where all of the bands are friends. Okay? And we would be at the end. We'd play at the end. And so all of the singers from all the other bands would come up.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's
and
so cool.
They would do their own, their own stuff. And then sometimes we just kind of follow the same formula. Like some rapper will come in, same thing, melodic talking, rapping and whatnot with a little bit of singing, and then all of a sudden we come in with the mix like ka-doom, ka-doom, ka-doom. But then sometimes a rapper would come in and would change the whole thing. He's like, no, I want the mix now. So we'll start off with the mix, boom, doom, 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 and then in the middle of his rap he'll say other terms like big step, and a big step is another like a mix where it's like a staccato, but this one is much more spaced out. It'd be like it's like bump bump bump, bump 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 bump, like that's a different bump bump bump. And so now the song is moving in a different way. You know what I mean? And what's so cool about it is that if they started off hard with the mix, and then they go into where a big stat was, like where 1 or 2 to 3 staccato difference, you can hear that the song is moving differently. And when that happens, the next rapper normally would also ask for a mix, but sometimes he's just like, give me a rhythm. And a rhythm means just all rhythm instruments just go at it. So the drum and bass go out, and the drums kind of play with the hi-hat to keep the time.
Keep tempo.
Yeah, and but you'll just see like keyboards, guitars, and they'll just keep the skank going or the melody going, and it just sounds super, just like it's you sound like you're in an empty pool. And then they'll go into like a mix again. You know what I mean? Like it all depends on who's rapping, because and if they're intricate like that, if they're creative like that, they can make the song change. It sounds like 6 different songs, but we're all playing the same chord.
That's
awesome.
You
know what I mean? Yeah. So that's one of the greatest things about live audibles, I would say, and my band is known for that. And not only my band, but all my brother and sister bands out there, like Lady Reiko and the Sin City Prophets, they do it. ST1, they do it as well, because we perform with them too. You know what I mean? 420 Days, like all shout out to everybody. Bo Cody Project, every day we all do it. You know what I mean? I hope I haven't forgotten anybody.
I'm sure you have.
Reggae. Yeah, I probably have.
I'm pretty sure you've played with a lot of different groups.
Yeah, the Remedies. I'm trying to remember as many. One Pin Short. I got you guys. Retro Lights. You know what I'm saying? Like all them, and it's funny too, because like in reggae, not only is it island reggae, there's other types of reggae like ska. And sometimes when a ska artist comes in, not only do we have to change the way that we play, but sometimes we have to speed it up, or sometimes we have to change. So instead of going on the swing beat, we have to change it to a straight beat. You know what I mean? And then go back to the swing beat. Those are hard, but those are some of the fun things to do live.
Dang. Mm-hmm. Do you still get nervous before performing?
Sometimes. So,
do you get more nervous when you perform with your band or by yourself? Or does it depend where you're playing or who you're playing for?
It depends on who I'm playing for and where I'm playing.
Okay.
For if I was by myself, as long as I'm okay, as long as I know that my mic won't short circuit as well as my ukulele, I'm fine. As long as I don't have to do anything outside of me having to perform, I'm fine. The only time that I am afraid is if I see tons of people. And I mean, like, it has to be at least, if I see, like, I think the biggest group I've seen was 10,000 people, I believe.
That you've performed in?
Mm-hmm.
10,000 people? I would have pooped my pants.
Yeah, that was the most, I believe. I could have performed for more, but I don't count the ones that come in and out. You know what I mean? But at one point, it was 10,000 people. When I first heard the number, I got the jitters.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean? And
where
then,
was that at?
This was in Utah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Samoan Flag Day. We were actually playing a backing band. And what's funny was that my bass player could only play a 4-string bass, and we didn't have a 4-string bass. They gave him a 5-string bass, and he had no idea how to play it. It was nuts.
But, I mean, it's practically the same. You just don't play the top string.
Right. He didn't know that. We didn't know that.
I mean, wait, how does your bass player? No, that doesn't matter.
He doesn't play. He doesn't play for us anymore. But at the time,
was he newer at the time?
Yeah, he was actually more of a drummer.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But, I mean, if you don't know, then that I can see how you wouldn't know that. Right. I always thought, because I thought that a 5-string bass was that the 5th string was at the bottom. The high string was the new one, but it's actually the
top.
low string is the one that changes. It's like which is a B if I no yes
To B.
it's a B
on the bass. Yeah.
So yeah. I know a little bit of bass. I play a little bit myself. You know what I'm saying?
I love the bass.
I play bass and guitar. I get nervous every time. Every time. There is not a single time where I go up on stage or pulpit and I do not get nervous. But I get even more nervous when I have to play by myself. I'm surprised I even do that to this nowadays because in the past, like I used to be in choir, and if a solo had to come around, I wouldn't do it. I was like, I ain't doing no solos. Somebody else can take that spot. Because singing by myself is even more stress inducing, right? So yeah, I get nervous every time. But people are like, oh, you don't look nervous. It's like, oh, I'm just fake it till you make it kind of.
Right. I escape in my music when I'm by myself.
Once I'm singing and playing, I'm okay. But it's like the anticipation of going up there to perform is where I get nervous. But I always tell people
I get it.
So it's like, how do you not get nervous? Like, what do you do to overcome that? And personally, like I said, I play for church, so I play for a different reason, right? I play to worship God is how I always play music. So I always tell people, it's like, well, I'm playing for God. I'm not playing for the congregation. So that's what kind of calms me down. It's like I'm focused on somebody else, right? But yeah, if I was like you, it's like, oh, hey, Lou, you want to come play a set with us or something? I'd be like, oh no, okay, that's terrifying because now we're playing to entertain people, right? Which is to me more terrifying because it's just like people could be very, very critical of what you do.
Oh yeah. I've had it recently where this guy wanted me to turn myself down. And I was just like, I can't hear myself out there while I'm on stage, so you're going to have to let me know. But the way he was doing it was super rude, but I was like, you know what? I'm okay with it. And after they left, I made a big amount of tips from people that didn't think I was loud. So,
and in the end, that's what matters.
And yeah.
Haters always going to hate.
Yeah, and I was cool with it because they decided to stay despite me being loud.
Yeah.
But
and were you loud? Do you know if you were loud?
Yeah, but I don't know if I was loud to them. You know what I mean? I would ask the bartender if I'm loud. If they think I'm loud, then I'm definitely loud because they're in the back.
Yeah.
You know? And so that was my first time actually having like an active kind of hater.
Heckler?
Yeah.
Were you performing by yourself?
Yeah, that was my solo.
Oh, okay.
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I'm sure we'll talk about more of this stuff in the future, There's plenty of more other things we can talk about your career as a musician.
And I'd love to pick your brain on how you choose the songs that you do at your congregation, unless someone else does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it usually was me. It was hard.
You're the director?
Yeah, for the music, yeah, it was terrifying. But yeah. So that will be all we have for today. So yeah, thanks for joining us. As always, we're here every week. And so catch us on our social media, on our Instagram, our Twitter, and our Facebook, right? And listen to us on your podcasts that you listen to, through Anchor FM. You can on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and any of the other versions that you listen through. And remember to catch us on YouTube as we also are on there, and you want to see our beautiful, very handsome looking faces, Yeah. All right. But until next time, everybody have a beautiful, beautiful week. Later.
Peace.